Hello and welcome to this demo of the Rockstar Curator recruitment platform, where we will go under the bonnet of the system and show you how we can achieve up to 96% retention rates for new employee hires with our clients, with the additional 3 direct benefits of 1. Reducing your commercial downtime, 2. Reducing your overall cost to hire, and 3. Guaranteeing your placements for a full year or even up to 2 years for some managed service contracts. You may be a hiring manager or HR decision maker who has worked with recruiters before and is wondering how is this even possible, or that you have heard similar promises before, or even that a recruitment agency has never been able to offer this before. And these would be the right questions to have. Where we are different at Rockstar Selection to all the other recruitment agencies out there is that we are able to offer and open up our advanced trademark methodology and technology to scrutiny to show you firsthand under the bonnet and walk you through the step-by-step as to how we are able to achieve these amazing benefits for our clients by showing you what a completed campaign might look like in our system. Our objective with you as a client would be to move you from the industry typical 60 to 70% retention rates, whatever it might be, it could be better or worse, to as close to 96% new employee retention as quickly as we can, or as close to 0 level attrition as we can. So come with me to the Rockstar Curator page here on the screen, which is already open. And then log in with the username and password to the client campaign account that we will invite you to create, as so. I will now literally walk you through the way the system will work for you as a client, showing you this is our process and this is how we do it step by step. This is the actual platform and where we present our trademark Rockstar candidate shortlist to you, should you engage with us for your recruitment process. So here we have a demo account with 3 or 4 dummy campaigns to look at, as you can see. This is your dashboard, an actual campaign page. So this is sharing with you the roles or live campaigns that we're currently working on. In this case, there are 4 current live roles. This could be more or less depending on what we partner on. It could be 1 or 2 vacancies per year or up to 300 vacancies per year. You can see there are 2 columns here. The first one is your campaigns and the second one on the right is the talent alerts. In the case of talent alerts, by nature of working in the recruitment industry, we occasionally come across exceptional talent from time to time where we may not know of a live vacancy for them, but if we think that it's a specific individual who may be of interest to you, then we would actually upload their profile there and inform you that there may be somebody of interest to you via a talent alert feature notification. So you get the opportunity of a first refusal to review the profile. Such profiles are typically the top 1% of our registered candidates, which we have trademarked Rockstar Talent. These are accessible on the right hand side of your dashboard over here. Okay. However, what we are going to focus on today is a demonstration of how we actually present a candidate shortlist to our clients and the work that goes into sourcing, assessing, organizing and presenting that shortlist to actually give you those results of as high as 96% retention. All of your authorized stakeholders can have 24/7 access to the platform for their relevant candidate campaigns and candidate shortlists, regardless of location, time zone or time of day. This removes the hassle of sending CVs, documents and notes around on multiple emails and keeps it all secure in one place. All you need is a computer or device with an internet connection. This also works on smartphones and tablets. When you log in as a client, you just select the vacancy that is relevant to you. In this case, I will click on the UK Director campaign here at the top. The screen you see in front of you is branded Client Company Limited over here, as this is your unique client dashboard, and we would customize and set this up and brand it with your company name at the top over here, and the logo on the left over here. So immediately you are having a branded experience on the system. The screen is split up into 3 panels. Over here on the right hand side, which you would probably be attracted to right away, are the candidates and the shortlists that we present to you. I'm actually going to come back to those last so that you can actually see how we put in those candidates and build their profiles first for you to review. So in the middle of the screen we've got the background and requirements. The background requirements is our understanding of the role after a briefing with you as the client to ensure we're all on the same page. On the left hand side and over here on the left are the campaign documents over here. Personalized to your business. This is a personal system for your business and so branded exclusively for you. So only your nominated company executives and people who are part of the recruitment campaign in your company would have access to these. It's a secure system. Underneath your logo you have what we call the campaign documents, and I just want to share with you how these work in the process. The first one is the job specification. So if we click on that, no surprises here. This is just your typical document showing role, responsibilities, skills, qualifications and experience required. This is a really important document as it's probably the only document that you currently provide as an employer to the recruitment agency and candidate that you're working with. If I dare say it, we refer to this as the one-dimensional process in recruitment, and it's part of the reason why typical recruitment success rates for many companies are often between 60 and 80% retention, or even less if it's really bad. Because all the recruiter can do from that basis is go out into the marketplace, identify candidates with the right skills and experience, and then come back to you and present a short list of candidates who meet the details on that job specification. So although it's a really important document, by itself it actually isn't enough to give you the very high levels of employee retention. If you think of those people you have hired in the last year and then left your company within 12 months, typically the day you hired them, they had the right skills and experience to do the job. But when you look at the reasons why they left, it's for different reasons than this. Mainly 2 reasons, and they are: 1, their performance in the role, where they didn't perform despite having the right skills, and 2, or it was partly to do with that they didn't fit in to your culture and ways of working. But there's nothing in the job description which is actually helping you determine whether that's there. So if all you do is give a recruiter the job description, you're going to have a one-dimensional process where they go out to the market and do their best to match CVs to the job spec based on the criteria that they have. With our Rockstar Curator system, we are really looking at how we can close that gap of where you can make bad hires and get the candidate performance and fit wrong, and to ultimately get your attrition rates nearer to 0. In order to do that, we understand that there are more layers to the recruitment process that need to be implemented, which is all work that we execute on behalf of our clients. Our methodology doesn't add more work to you specifically. Instead, it's about us improving the process with a superior level of candidate insight. Most of our clients admit that their business has evolved massively in the last 5 to 10 years across their systems, technology, data, processes, etc. However, they also admit that their recruitment technology and process has evolved very little from year to year. Most recruitment firms in the industry that you have seen or work with are standing still. They just continue to send CV after CV to you. Now what we have actually done instead is to successfully try to look underneath the process and say, well, 1, what makes a person fit the role, and 2, what makes a person perform in the role. And what we have come up with is that there are simply 3 levels of assessments in a typical recruitment process, and you are actually doing all three of them already. And here are the 3 levels. If we click on the 3 levels of assessment. So level 1 on the bottom left is known as the appear to level. So that's how the candidate appears. So we might make statements such as they look the part, for example, and indeed, as you see on the chart from left to right, across there, the more we assess people, the greater the impact on performance shown by the red arrow. So with level 1, it has some limited success, such as how somebody comes across, their first impressions, their presence, how they introduce and carry themselves, etc. If we look at level 2 and the performance, it's a really important level, and this is where you are likely to be at this specific moment in time. Level 2 is known as the can-do level, or what the candidates say they can do. And this is purely based on their skills or experience, their background, their training, their education, all of those pieces that you can assess by looking at the CV and comparing it to the job description. So it's a really important level, and as you can see, it does have significant impact on their performance as there. But it's only when you actually execute level 3 and ascertain what level 3 is, which is the will do level, which is when you find out what the candidate will do given a certain set of circumstances or situations or environmental factors. And those are things like the attitude, the maturity, the judgment of the individual based on fit for the specific role in your company. And it's only when you assess at level 3 and get that correct combined with level 1 and 2 that you get this huge uplift in performance as seen on the right of the chart. And that's where we come in, because at the moment, as I already mentioned, you are actually already undertaking level 3, but you are doing level 1 and 2 pre-employment, but level 3 you are doing post-employment. And this is actually finding out if the candidate will do the job the way you want them to do, and whether they perform at the right level that you want and need, and whether they fit into the team environment in your company. So you are assessing level 3, but you are leaving level 3 until after they are already started on the job. Now if we scroll down to the next page, the key difference in our process is that we perform level 1, level 2 and level 3 for you pre-interview on your behalf, instead of finding out post-employment after they have started. So what we're all about here is actually making sure you don't waste time interviewing candidates who aren't the right fit for your organization. Of course, you still need to execute and assess candidates through your interview process and your own level 2 assessments, but the key is to understand that level 3 can make sure that you don't waste time in terms of committing line manager resources to meeting and interviewing candidates that would never fit and never perform long term in your company culture. So this is work we do on your behalf to help you make sure you don't waste time interviewing the wrong people. If you have ever interviewed somebody in the past on the strength of their CV only to be disappointed when you've met them in person, this has happened because you have only assessed them at level 2. Instead, we are now able to use advancements in science and technology available to us as recruiters to make your life better by making sure we understand what good looks like at level 3 in your company culture specifically. And we only shortlist those with the right fit and who can perform in your style of culture. So to do this requires a low investment from each of your interviewers, literally between 5 to 10 minutes per interviewer per job role. We use a behavioural assessment tool called a job survey, which is one of the techniques that we use to identify what good looks like at level 3. It clarifies and measures the behavioural attributes that are critical to high performance and success in the role. We do this before searching for and matching candidates because it makes sure your colleagues are aligned, not just around the job description at level 2, but around the behaviour attributes which determine success at level 3, as per here. This also avoids final round interviews, deciding that a candidate doesn't have the right fit or approach to the job, as this should be found out sooner. So we catch this red flag much sooner, which negates the need for restarting costly recruitment processes back to square one again, often with no candidate pipeline. Instead, we provide an output for this report, and it looks like this. So if we go back, this is what's known as the job survey report, and we work with one of our partners, McQuaig, who have been established for over 50 years as the McQuaig Institute. One of the reasons why we like them so much is that the report documentation is written in very simple English, designed for a line manager to understand, rather than the level of understanding of say a behavioural psychologist. There are 8 main types of profile that all of us fall into. The UK director role here is looking for a generalist profile. On the next page, we have a graphical representation of essentially what good looks like in your organization for this specific role. Don't worry about what this chart means to you right now, but in the future it actually acts as a behavior template for us to assess and match candidates to. So in the same way that it's important to match the right skills and experience to the job description, we also have to find and match candidates with the right behavioral fit for the role and company too. We have multiple templates for doing this. So the numbers down here below the chart generates the charts themselves, which become quickly meaningful to you over time as you benchmark talent for specific roles in your organization. The system also does the job of confirming if the candidate is a match or not. We share and agree this blueprint with you before we start the search for the candidate who will eventually take the role. For many of our clients, this is often the golden nugget, the light bulb moment when they realize they should assess the job first before assessing the candidates. By doing this, it will catapult your understanding ahead of your competition. So if we go back to the main screen, I want you to understand how this blueprint is generated. And I mentioned a moment ago about that we make sure you and your colleagues are all aligned in this process. In this example, there are 4 separate key decision makers for the UK director role. The blueprint is an aggregated combination of all 4 of these decision makers' views. You are also able to look at each decision maker as individuals by opening the comparison report over here on the left. So we can share this output with your stakeholder team to highlight any difference in opinions and to reach a consensus if needed before commencing the search. This could be calibrating 1, 2, 5 or even 10 or more individual decision makers. The most I have aggregated in the last month for an actual client was 12 partners in a global consulting firm to produce a perfectly aligned single final blueprint for hiring. Everybody's happy as all of their views count and were incorporated and agreed up front. So in this demo example, there are 4 interviewers whose opinion matters. From the chart you can see that below there are 4 profiles. 3 are looking for a generalist here and 1 is looking for a pioneer. Again, please don't worry about what these titles mean at this moment in time. If we go down one more page, we have 4 charts for each individual interviewer. So you can see top left that Brett is looking for a generalist, Carol is looking for a generalist, and Sarah is also looking for a generalist, but George is looking for a pioneer, which is a different type of profile. So this tells us that George has a different insight and opinion into what good looks like compared to the other 3 for the UK director role. This doesn't mean George is not right or wrong and the others aren't right or wrong either. It's just that they all have a view. But we can see immediately from the comparison that 3 of the colleagues are closely aligned, but George is looking for something a bit different by the yellow part on the chart. In George's chart, you can see the yellow color scale is actually really close to the middle line, known as the balance line, whereas the other 3 stakeholders, the yellow, is way below the balance line. This is the main difference in particular in this report. The meaning of the yellow scale itself is known as the compliance to independent scale. So 3 people are looking for somebody who's extremely independent in their nature and their behavior attributes. This is not the decision maker's personality themselves, it's just what they think this specific role needs from the candidate. Whereas George believes that for this role, the candidate should be fairly balanced on that category trait. so neither too independent nor too compliant, but somewhere in the middle in this particular one. And that's just George's opinion there. My observation of this is that we are not trying to change George's mind, but we do need him to understand that the rest of the team are looking for something different. And so to discuss with him why the rest of the team are looking for something different, and can he accept that's what is needed by the rest of the team to identify the right person. The job survey blueprint that the person doing this role should be very independent in terms of their nature and the way in which they conduct the job. As you can see there, very independent in the blueprint. And that would contradict what George is looking for down here in his mind. In an interview, this would manifest in George having a gut feel and cause him to think, I don't think this person is quite right. He might not put his finger on why they're not quite right, but something's telling him that this person isn't quite right for the company. This is what I referred to earlier as typical interviews and CVs not being able to measure certain candidate intangibles. Normally, the consequence of this would mean that George will either dig his heels into the ground and say, no, I don't need this type of person, or if George is involved in the first stage interviews, even potentially rejecting somebody who he would see to be a little bit too extreme in that particular area. So we would be able to help George understand and agree so that he can accept in the future why his gut is telling him something is wrong, but to understand now that this is actually what the rest of the team are looking for. Conversely, if George is a really strong and powerful individual, e.g. a knowledgeable CEO, it's with George to persuade the others that actually it needs to be somebody more balanced and not so extreme on the independent working. So it is key to get everybody aligned first before we go ahead and identify and match people, as one of the single biggest causes of retention issues and mismatch on fit are when companies have not identified fully and aligned on what they are looking for in the first place. So by assessing the job first, then the individual, you avoid getting into that dreadful situation where, say, you get to final stage interview and you have to come back right to the beginning and start the search all over again. So this is just one part of the Rockstar Curator platform that makes sure you don't waste time interviewing people, or even worse, hiring people that do not fit your company. So this reduces your commercial downtime. In turn, this increases your new employee retention rates and reduces your overall cost to hire, especially when you now understand that the true cost of just one failed hire, according to the Recruitment Employment Confederation in the UK, is actually over 330% of the candidate employee's annual salary, once you've factored in the 8 specific direct and indirect costs of failed recruitment. Now, the great thing for our clients is that this is all extra work that we do behind the scenes for you. So at Rockstar, we take on the grunt work and the heavy lifting for you. So if we go back to the dashboard, I've already talked you through about the multiple layers of assessment, including the level 3, which was there. But if we scroll down here to key competencies, there is an additional part of level 3 called key competencies. Our clients love key competency questions because it helps them to understand pre-interview how a candidate might behave in critical areas of the job before you actually hire them, and even before you interview them as well. Our candidate shortlists respond to 3 to 5 preset qualification questions, which they respond to on the platform in writing. So if we click on key competencies, so as an example, you can see here we've already made a library of questions, or we can customize and create new ones for you. The questions are designed to evaluate whether 1, confirming if a candidate is what you are looking for, or 2, creating red flags or areas to probe further. This is a highly effective recruitment tool for 2 reasons. A, you receive this information and answers from them before you even interview for a first round, and B, you are creating a uniformed recruitment process and criteria that helps eliminate bias and allows you to compare and contrast shortlists more closely with set criteria. E.g., for example, questions depending on the role might be for, say, a revenue maker profile. It could be what have been your sales in the last 2 years, your targets and actual revenues over the last 2 years. Or for a senior manager in consulting, it could be what size teams, levels of reports and budgets have you managed on projects. Or for a data scientist, for example, it could be rank your level of proficiency separately in Tableau, R, Python, machine learning, etc. on a scale of 1 to 10 for each. We recommend clients to target 3 to 5 specific must-know questions that are critical for the role. The sort of things that you would love to know up front before meeting a candidate, or the sort of things that you wish a recruiter would explain and qualify for you up front when presenting a CV. It could be anything such as a second language competency, flexibility to travel and stay away from home on client site Monday to Friday, for example. The benefit of this is to give you a superior level of candidate insight, so your interviews can be more thorough, detailed and focused to enable you to make a more informed hiring decision. Now, the final things on the pre-assessment side that I want to mention before taking you over to the candidate shortlist, what it looks like, is to explain what we do as recruiters and what makes us different to all of the other recruiters out there. Often, potential clients have only ever seen recruiters sending over CVs on emails, arranging some interviews, and then being paid fees for placements with little visibility of the value being added and the service provided, which raises the question, what is it really that a recruiter actually does? Now, a few things that are unique about our service compared to competitors is that we have a really transparent process, and so we actually share with our clients regular updates and a progress report of what we're doing. So if we click on the progress report in the system, so in this example we share with you down here what our research strategy is, so such as those people being targeted specifically who were closest to the bullseye and then to the outer rings of the talent pool. A status update of how many people we have approached, got through to, who we have spoken to, who we are not progressing with. So you can see the level of filtering and qualification undertaken from identifying prospects and long lists right through to the 4-candidate shortlist down here. For example, you might look at Peter Francis over here, who works at LMN Limited, which is 12th on the candidate list. And you might think, well, he works at our close competitor, LMN Limited. Why is he not making it through to our shortlist, which is down here? And basically the simple answer is because although Peter Francis works for your main competitor and has the right skills and experience, culturally and behaviour-wise, Rockstar Curator has measured him and assessed him, and he's not the type of person that's going to fit into your company. So rather than waste time actually interviewing somebody just because they work for one of your competitors, we're actually telling you he won't fit in with your team, even though he is great on paper. So from that side of things, we're actually able to keep you informed throughout the process of where we're actually at who we're talking to, and why we're not actually making it through with them. Now, of course, if you overrule us on this one and you'd like to meet Peter Francis, then of course we still introduce him. But our recommendation would be that he's not going to be the right fit for your company because on the information that you have shared with us to date. So the final thing before I go to the candidate shortlist section is to actually share with you something called the candidate briefing pack, which is down here. When we work for our clients, we are advocates of your brand and act as a marketing mouthpiece and spokesperson for your brand, which we take very seriously. The reality today is we all work in a fully employed market with a lot of noise and employer brands out there competing to be heard, with a limited attention span from our prospective audience that can be switched on or off in an instant. So we have to make the opportunity for your opportunity to stand out in a crowded marketplace, all battling for the best talent. So what we do differently is we click on the candidate briefing pack, is that we put together a candidate briefing pack for you. Essentially, this is a marketing brochure for your job opportunity, organization, our role in the process, and why somebody should come and join your organization. It also provides a positive touch point that they could be joining a really strong organization who has a really robust recruitment process that shows a real investment and sense of purpose to get the fit and the hire right. It reassures and shows the candidate, and they often comment to us, that this seems like an organization that invests in its people process and really cares about its staff and people and invests into getting it right. Importantly, none of your competitors can give this level of reassurance to getting the right hire and fit correct. So you stand out right away when you work with Rockstar Curator. So if we scroll down, in this document we can include things like, if we keep going, things like the key responsibilities for the job, the key skills and competencies, also the trademark Rockstar Selection process, how this is about them as an individual and not just a CV. So this demonstrates how we achieve the right results as well. Again, we are making this stand out from all the other opportunities that they may be looking at or that get presented to them. This will leave a memorable imprint because we want to make them feel special about joining your company, especially compared to other recruiters whose engagement will appear much more transactional. In today's market, candidates are becoming more and more discerning and informed, and want to be absolutely sure that this is the right career move for them, and that they don't just jump ship and find out 6 to 9 months later that they have made the wrong choice. So if we scroll down, instead they want to know that they have gone through a thorough selection process that actually gets it right. So the 96% retention statistic here that I have already shared with you is actually as important to the candidate as it is for you and us, as it provides tangible evidence and reassurance that they are making the right decision when accepting a job offer and that the organization is the right fit for them. So this reduces rejected job offers at the final stage, as it gives affirmation that they are making the right decision. So our process also enables them to make a more informed and evaluated decision as well, and gives them that extra reassurance when accepting offers. And let's face it, we all dislike rejected offers. So if we go back to the dashboard again, now we can navigate over to the shortlist of candidates on the right here. You can see thumbnail images of all the candidates here: John Smith, Sarah, Laura, etc. All of the candidates participating in this recruitment process will help build their own profiles. This system isn't just about Rockstar as recruiters, it's a collaborative platform where each party actually participates. The benefits of this on the candidate side is as follows. 1. It ensures they are engaged, involved and invested. 2. They are motivated to showcase their talent and to come and work for your company. 3. They are serious and not just throwing their CV around and hoping it gets on your desk at some point. Number 4. They know we have a mandate from you to go out there and find the ideal match. And 5. They see it as a significant opportunity with a clear mandate and a sense of purpose and intent to follow through, and not just a fishing expedition type of interview. So I'm going to focus on John Smith as a demo candidate profile, so you can see how the end product looks like for a candidate that makes your shortlist. So if we click on John Smith, the first observation is that this is much more than just a CV, which is what you will typically only receive from other recruitment agencies now. Again, the screen is split into 3 sections. 1, over here on the right, you can access the other shortlisted candidates. 2, in the middle, you've got some buttons which are fairly self-explanatory. For example, if you want to request an interview. Below that you have career highlights. So John was the #1 director in the UK. 2, you've got the executive profile, which is the recruiter interview notes and summary down there. And then C, you've got room for stakeholder comments, name and comment down here. Now in the left column, you can see 1, a recent photograph uploaded by the candidate, so you have a real reflection of who they are today. 2, below the photograph there is a personalized video introduction from the candidate. This serves a number of purposes, including A, it allows the candidate to focus your attention on topics and information beyond their CV, and B, you can gather a first impression of how they introduce themselves, communicate and conduct themselves. We have included this specifically because so many times over the years employers have said to us that they have interviewed candidates based on the strength of their CV, but only to find as soon as they met them they just knew they weren't going to be right for the organization, which is commercial time you have wasted in a process that is going to end as soon as the candidate walks through the door, which could have been avoided through our video interview features. So we provide this platform to make a first impression through an option of either freestyle video like with John Smith or a set Q&A through our Launchpad interview feature on the platform, which is invaluable when you consider that the latest occupational psychologist research shows that first impressions are made in just 1.6 seconds of meeting somebody. So here you have a 1 minute 42-second intro video. So I'll click on John Smith's video here.
Hello, my name is John Smith. Thank you very much for considering me for the role of Sales Director. It's an opportunity that I've reviewed.
So I'll just pause John Smith there just to show you where it plays. And candidates such as John Smith like this because they are able to give you a short introduction of themselves and they can tell you why they are interested in the opportunity and how motivated they are by it. So from your side it gives you a little bit of a flavour of the person. So when you do meet them face to face, you know what they look like, you know how they sound like, you know how they come across, so you know a little bit more about them than just the information that you obtain from just a flat CV. Now speaking of the flat CV, of course we upload their current CV into their profile too. Typically what you're already used to seeing, if we click on CV, it shows the candidate's background, their skills, experience, employment history and so on. And we screen the CV and interview the candidate first as per the level 2 assessment as well. So if we click back to the dashboard, but the real challenge and often missing ingredient or our secret sauce is about finding out the extra bits of information that are going to help you make a more informed hiring decision to get those performance and retention levels high up the chart, right up here. So in the same way that we've asked you and your colleagues to complete that McQuaig Institute job survey, which helped us identify and blueprint what the behavioural aspects or level 3 aspects look like in your company, we actually asked the candidates as part of the Rockstar Curator process to undertake the reciprocal assessment. And what we're then able to do is take their assessment and match and merge it with what you were looking for. When we do this, we generate a very clever report known as the Job Fit Interview Guide. So if we click on the Job Fit Interview Guide here, and this is all about helping you assess and interview the candidate on a more structured basis. So if we scroll down here, you'll have a checklist on how to structure an interview. You're probably fine with that, but sometimes we find that people who don't interview so frequently, they may find that beneficial to them. So essentially some hints and tips on what you need to do. If we scroll down to page 4, okay, we then come down to a graphical summary. And the graphical summary you will be a little bit familiar with from the one I showed you earlier. In fact, the one I showed you earlier was the chart on the left for the UK director role, which is the one that you and your colleagues will have told us what we need to match to. And then for John Smith, here we have 2 charts. one in the middle and one on the right. One is called the situational and one is called the real. Now the situational is giving us, as the word implies, it says what's happening at this moment in time. Now this is just showing us that there are some stress points within this candidate John Smith's specific profile, because they are not happy doing the job the way that they are being asked to in their current role. So unsurprisingly, they're looking to change roles. This is denoted by the inwards pointing white arrows in all 4 key behavior competence categories, which is a sign of low morale when you have 2 or more of these arrows. Now over here on the right hand side, what we have is the real profile. This is the natural state or preferred state of John Smith. And what we're trying to do is identify whether John Smith in his natural environment is going to be comfortable working in the way that you and your colleagues want him to, as per your job survey blueprint over here on the left. The science and technology that we engage is through our partners at the McQuaig Institute. And if we scroll down to page 5, it will actually summarize for me that this candidate John Smith is a strong match as per there. And it says that the profile and scores of John Smith produce a strong behavioral match to the reference profile. This tells us that by the end of your company interview process, which you still need to do of course, that if you choose to hire John Smith, that he's going to enjoy working in your type of environment. He will do the job in the way that you want it to be done. He's not going to rebel or push back. He's going to fit in very strongly into the way that you guys want to work at that level 3 will do level on the level 3 charts that I showed you earlier. Level 3 will do. This is essentially becomes the glue that binds your hiring decision together. By itself, this does not mean you should hire John Smith, though it is telling you that if John Smith is offered the role at the end of your process, that he will fit in with your organization. He's likely to be able to perform at the peak of his performance and is likely to be happy in the role and therefore deliver the results you want and stay long term with you in your company, which is ultimately what we refer to as the Rockstar employee. So again, this provides more candidate insight and comfort around your hiring decision in conjunction with your normal interview rigor. It provides the tangible evidence needed from a fit perspective if he passes your process. It provides the evidence that the hiring decision is then a good one. So if we scroll down further on page 6, if we continue to come down, the clever algorithms show you where John matches your profile overall, in which areas he is a strong match over here or potential match. Coming down again, it then tells you on each of the 4 color scales. The red one is the dominant to accepting scale, which is this one. Not only does it show you whether John fits, but it actually generates questions for suggested interview probing, the questions here, which you may choose to ask John and the other candidates you compare him against in the interview process. This can help you to interview more consistently, and it will even give you some examples of what a positive response might be. This information can also be supplied to each of your colleagues who's participating in the hiring process as well. Again, Rockstar Curator is providing you with all of this insightful candidate detail upfront before you even interview. So you can start comparing and contrasting candidates before you even meet them, which will allow you to prioritize who to meet first and invest your resources in. So if we click back on the dashboard, returning back to the dashboard, there are a couple of other things here, such as key facts. So if we click on key facts, this is where the candidate has uploaded some key facts about themselves, things that they want to highlight to you to make themselves stand out from the rest of the crowd. So for example, key fact 5, John Smith is a confident and experienced keynote speaker and presenter. You may have added this because there is something in the candidate briefing pack, or John may have added this, that said the director position requires to represent the company at trade shows and exhibitions, for example. So John has highlighted this as a key piece of relevant experience. So if we go back to the dashboard, the candidate can also upload some references if they wish, which are contained within here. And then we have the key competencies that were created together, if you recall, when we set up the campaign. So if we click on key competencies, we scroll through there. If you recall back, this is when I said we ask a candidate to respond to the role critical questions that you set in your pre-qualification criteria. And here is where the candidate's responses are made available. In this case, highlighting the response to the 5th competency, which is sales and business development. So I'm highlighting that answer here. Now we don't need to read the response as it's only relevant to the demo role, but the purpose is to show you that the candidate considers these answers carefully to demonstrate a typical comprehensive 1 to 3 paragraphs response per question. So again, the platform continues to provide you with customized candidate insight that you wouldn't normally receive. It could provide you with a show-stopping red flag, e.g. the candidate is unable to meet the travel commitments required for the job, in which case you might decide not to meet the candidate, or it may highlight topics and questions to further probe and investigate on your own, face-to-face in the interview process. So if we go back to the dashboard again, so Rockstar Curator is all about making sure you have a superior level of candidate insight to be more informed and evidence-based in your decision making, and to remove the costly chance factor and poor performance and attrition when you get it wrong when relying on gut feel decision making of the past. A few additional items to note. One, you're able to leave comments, not just for me as your recruiter, but actually for your colleagues. For example, sharing interview feedbacks in one place, saving you time and effort in sending different emails back and forwards and collating information. It puts it all in one place. So it's really easy to pick up feedback from where you left off in whatever time zone 24/7. The third point, all the client and candidate information and documentation is stored securely online and password protected with a unique username and login for yourself. So you no longer need to ring up at the recruiter saying, can you send me that CV again, or what is his notice period or salary, etc. And number 4, but should you wish to download all the documents, you can do that too and review offline. One final thing that we do as a specialist recruiter is that although we are enhancing your recruitment process by making more objective information available, at the end of the day, with our job here at Rockstar, we have been recruiting across 2 decades with some highly experienced recruiters in our team. So we can actually also leverage and collate that experience from the recruiters who have interviewed your shortlist already firsthand. So if we click on the benchmark graph through the dashboard, we are able to compare and rank candidates against each other in terms of their key competencies, which are listed below, in line with their value for money over here on the right, or salary expectation as you would call it. And this essentially is a subjective scoring opinion from your experienced Rockstar account manager, and that's gained from looking at and speaking with each of these candidates pre-interview. Now, these would all be 5 excellent candidates that we are shortlisting, but we're ranking them against each other. So as there are 5 candidates in this example, the top marker would be 5, like up here with Sarah, and down to 1, which would be the lowest with myself, Craig. So for example, John Smith is ranked 2, the second lowest on the scale for customer management, which is one of the preset key competency criteria. But importantly, this doesn't mean John is poor at customer management. It's just that we thought 4 of the other candidates were even stronger. As remember, all shortlisted candidates are pre-screened to meet level 2 job spec criteria to even get on this list. So this comparison chart, it just gives you a third-party opinion of who we think the strongest candidates are in each competency from the point of view of an experienced recruiter who has actually spoken to and interviewed and compared all of the candidates already. So if we just click back to the dashboard here, from the dashboard you can then access the other candidates and go through the same process of reviewing them and comparing the shortlist to one another through the comparison chart. With these extra layers of candidate insight to make your decisions more informed and measurable. Again, our goal for our clients in using this platform is to get your attrition rates down from 20 or 30% or even 40% down to as near as just 4% attrition as we can, removing as much of the chance factor and bias from your recruitment process as possible, and so mitigating your risk and exposure to costly failed hires, which in most cases cost companies almost 3.5 times the annual salary of each unsuccessful hire. So based on what I've shared with you today, I would ask you, is there any reason why you wouldn't use the Rockstar Curator process for any vacancies that you may have in the future? As you have seen, the amount of candidate insight we provide as part of our standard service is vastly superior to other search and selection firms, and our curation method of selecting, organising and presenting top quality candidates for the ideal fit is truly really unique. Remember, we also undertake all of the additional grunt work and heavy lifting on your behalf, thus providing you with a true measurable ROI. At the moment, you may receive a far less comprehensive service with far less guarantees and maybe a sliding scale rebate of up to 12 weeks or maybe even 6 months if you negotiated well. Well, we've considered that also, and as such is the level of faith we have in our platform that we guarantee free replacements for 12 months for standard mandates and up to 24 months replacement for managed services when in contract. So you know that if we work together, should anything go wrong, then you know that Rockstar is going to fix it for you in the first 12 months. That's all included in our standard fee. And this service applies to whether you use the platform for 2 or 3 hires per year or even 300 hires per year. So if you're wondering what to do next, or if you have further questions and would like to understand rates, there are a few different options available for next action. Number 1, you can simply email hello@rockstarselection.com for more information, where we can send you a full breakdown of the different service level packages we offer. Number 2, you can call us on UK +44, drop the first 0, 208 980 7575 to speak to an account manager about the Rockstar Curator platform. Or 3, you can schedule a live one-to-one demo with a Rockstar account manager on the link below, where we can look at the system with you personally and answer your specific questions and let you have a play around. So to conclude, I'd like to thank you for watching this demo and look forward to answering your questions and seeing how we might work and partner together soon in guaranteeing to fill your vacancies from as little as 2 or 3 urgent hires per year or as much as 300 hires per year, all with a 12-month guarantee option. Thank you.